Hey guys, welcome back to the Love Pod podcast. On today's episode, we're recapping the first 6 episodes of Love is Blind Season 6. This episode does contain spoilers, so you may want to catch up with the show first. To continue the discussion, be sure to join our Facebook group. Link is in the show notes. Let's get to the episode.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Love Pod. That is Jordan, I am Dina, and we are going to get right into the Love is Blind Season 6 North Carolina episode recap. This is episodes 1 through 6, pod, a little bit of honeymoon. All right,
yes,
Jordan.
So much pod.
The pods are open, and boy, are they open. I have not seen this many pods since... God, I don't know. I ordered edamame at the sushi restaurant. It's just so much. I love seeing their connections, but I feel like this was a lot. There was a lot going on. And it's just a little bit less next time, maybe. If you're listening to 2 of the fans, I think you agree with me, right? Like, that was a lot.
I agree with you. I do feel like, at some points in the past, I've thought, yeah, we could see more of the pods because I do know that we miss a lot of stuff that happens in the pods. But now I'm like, no, actually I was wrong. And we have enough.
Yeah, there's a balance, and we know they're doing their best, but 5.5 episodes of pods is a lot, guys. But let's get into the couples. We're going to go couple by couple here rather than jump around between dates. So the first ones I'm going to bring up are Trevor and Chelsea. Now, I thought they had such a strong connection. They had such a good sense of humor and repertoire together. He was so laid back and supportive and easygoing. And I mean, she called his mullet. Of all the hairstyles you're going to guess, how are you going to be spot on with the mullet? I want to know what kind of wizardry that was.
And then said that she was into it. Like, she likes a mullet.
Right. If you like a mullet, that is your man. And he gave her, they're building their connection throughout. They exchanged gifts. She did not get a gift from her other connection, Jimmy. He gave her a Love is Blind Braille rock. How cute is that? Like, he had the
really
little Braille.
Cute, and it's symbolic, adorable.
Yes.
I really like her.
We don't know what's going to happen, obviously. I think we're both Team Trevor, but I do hope that they maybe end up together, because we'll get into what happens with Chelsea and Jimmy later.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of Jimmy, let's hop right on over to Jessica and Jimmy. What did you think of these 2?
I thought they were a better match. I think they were a better match than Jimmy and Chelsea. From what we have seen, I thought they were a better match. And I like Jessica. I do think, I've seen a lot of people talking about, is it wise to go on a show with it like this with a child?
She's getting a lot of heat for that.
Beyond that, that's, I guess her decision to make. But I like her. I don't like Jimmy. I'll just go ahead and say it. I mean,
I think that's a popular opinion.
So I'm not really sure. And at first I thought maybe I did, but really what I was thinking and what I wrote down in my notes about Jimmy from watching the pod dates is that I feel like he says a lot of nothing in the pods. Like, almost every conversation he has feels like a lot of fluff. And
yeah,
I felt like he didn't really give me any reason to think that, like, I wanted to see him at all, much less with any particular girl.
Get off my screen.
I felt about him. I don't know. I was like, he's not even saying anything.
And guys, if you're watching live and you want to chime in with your comments, we'll read those as well. If you have questions about the cast or the season or prior seasons, we're going to get to everybody and we're going to get to all the questions. I just wanted to say that before we hop on. But what do you think of Jimmy? Jordan is not Team Jimmy. I think it's very clear.
Team Jimmy. No, I want, whatever.
I want Chelsea to be happy. She seems very sweet. But Jessica, yeah, she's getting a lot of heat about having come on having had a daughter, and I wonder how that would have worked out, how they would have done the intros if they did get married,
I
um,
know.
or
That's the
did get
thing
to that point.
because, I'm thinking of, in general, most people that I think that I know that maybe were single mothers and looking to date would spend a lot of time getting to know whatever person they're dating before they introduce them to their child. And with this being so fast forwarded, how does that work? Um,
Right.
because in such a short amount of time, they would be getting married. And how does that work with integrating a child into that?
And Ashley from her Facebook did point out it obviously having a child is a big thing, but Autumn is 10. So she can
Mhm,
express herself. It's not like she's a baby. I don't have kids. Jordan, you do have a daughter, so maybe you can weigh in a little bit differently. But even introducing partners to my dog is a big deal because if my dogs don't
mhm.
like you, I cannot date you. They're such a big part of my
Right.
life. So I cannot imagine having a child. And I think it's very brave of her. If that's really what she wants, she's got to
Mhm.
trust her gut to find the right connection. And I'm really glad it didn't work out. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm glad it didn't work out, at least at this point with Jimmy and Jessica. I'm not
I
anti
don't
Jimmy.
think yeah. I really don't think that he was ready for it. And
No.
it's not I don't think that he just, like, reacted super terribly to when she told him in the pods or anything, and I liked that he seemed to I mean, he started asking her questions about her daughter and stuff, which I think was good. It was showing, like, a good sign, but
Sure.
obviously, in the end, he didn't choose her, so he wasn't ready for that
He
commitment.
did I felt like from the second she told him, just the expression on his face, even though he was asking a lot of questions and he was open to it, I think it was a big no, whether he was ready to admit it or not. Because he did, it seemed like give her a lot of false promises. He said something about he'll walk through hell wearing gasoline covered underwear, or maybe Jess said that. Like there was a strong connection between those two. But he also, she's a very strong personality, like she kept pointing out. And he did say he likes to kind of be that more leadership role in a relationship.
That is
So
true.
I had said from the second that she brought up the daughter, I said he's definitely going to chicken out about Autumn. Like he's not ready for that kind of a role. I don't think.
I think
Um,
it would take a very special person in that situation to do that's it's a lot. That's a lot to
yeah,
be put on you.
it really is. And I understand not being ready, but don't continue to drag out the dates knowing that. If that's not something that you're
Mhm,
immediately open to, and maybe he was lying to himself. Maybe, he just thought that connection with Jess was so strong. But to me, I
mhm.
couldn't see it. Again, we're only seeing a small part of it. So who knows? What do you
That's
guys
true,
think
we missed
of?
a lot.
Yeah, we only see a little bit. So you guys let us know. Are you team Jimmy or not Jimmy? And let's move on to Jimmy and Chelsea. So
Yes.
I
I
didn't think
can't I don't like their connection. I don't think that it was ever really there. Um, and I like Chelsea. And
I
I
like
think
her a lot.
Chelsea is getting a lot of unfair criticism because people are saying things about her being insecure, and I do see that some of her reactions are showing some insecurity, but I
Oh
think
yeah,
Jimmy
absolutely.
is fueling those insecurities, and it's not like, people are almost villainizing her because she's insecure. That doesn't make any sense.
Right. It reminds me a little bit of Cole and Zanab, from season 4, I think it was, where he just does not know how to handle, reaffirming and reassuring her, and
Mhm.
is a little bit, um, just, like, unintentionally clueless about how to handle that anxiety. She does need a lot of reassurance. When we talk about the little pre-honeymoon, we'll get into that more, but I didn't see any really particular connection between those 2 other than she was really open to listening, to his feedback about his dates with Jessica, and he would, like, unload on her about those dates, and then Jessica just didn't wanna hear it about Chelsea, which either is understandable, but it felt like the connection was her really being passive and, Again, from what we saw, we don't know their full conversation, but I didn't even really have a ton of notes about their date. They had a mini golf date, and yes, let's talk about it. She knows she doesn't look like Megan Fox. We know she does not look like Megan Fox. She said it once in passing. Poor Chelsea. I have seen so much heat in the Facebook group. I have seen, like on her comments. She knows, guys. She knows. Let's not let that be the hill that we die on for poor Chelsea.
And and can I just say that I was watching the show with my husband, and my husband never watches the show with me, but he happened to just we were both just, I guess, tired. We both sat down and he was watching it with me, and so we had that discussion. I was like, I think he missed that part though, because I was like, she told him that, well, she didn't tell him she looks like Megan Fox. She said people tell
Right.
her she looks like Megan Fox. And my husband, is a big Transformers fan. So like he knows who
Okay. So
Megan
he
Fox
knows.
is,
Yeah.
whatever. And he's like, I kind of see it. And I was like, really? You know? And so I was like paying more attention at that point. And I have realized, I think her facial structure is very similar. Um,
Really?
and I think that's where it comes from because I was looking for it and I would see it in certain ways that she would like in just in certain scenes, certain ways that she moves her mouth too. Because there was this thing on TikTok a while back that where people would talk about how Megan Fox talks like with her bottom lip only. I can't do it,
Okay.
but and Chelsea does that too. So they have like some similar facial structure stuff. I really think so. Not so much
Okay.
now because Megan Fox doesn't look like Megan Fox anymore, but back when she did, I can see it.
All right. Well, and to be fair, she did say her hair color and eye color, which her hair color also does not look like Megan Fox's, but
No,
she
it's
knows.
not dark
She
enough.
knows that is. And if you're put
Did
on
you
the
see
spot to say you're a celebrity,
there was a post on the Facebook group where somebody had, like, darkened her hair, and it was
really?
more believable. Hang on. Can I, like, pull this
Okay.
up?
Let me know if you could find it. Who would you on the spot? Who would you say your celebrity lookalike is? Because I don't know
I have no
if I'm
idea.
hard pressed, I could give you. I've heard Michelle Branch or Vanessa Carlton before, but if you were to ask me and somebody hadn't told me that, I don't know, maybe like Katie Holmes, and I don't look anything like Katie Holmes. So when you're put on the spot like that, she did her best, but I didn't
But
see a very strong connection.
she brought it up, didn't she?
I thought, I don't know. Regardless of who brought it up, that was like the most contentious thing so far. And then, well, okay, except for we're going to make Matthew his own separate. He's not even like the pod connections. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, look, this
I don't
is
know. What do you
I
guys
think
think?
I think they did something else, but, I mean, kinda.
And who can we credit for this?
This
Who
is,
did this?
Courtney Beck from the Facebook group. I'm so sorry to, put you out there like that.
Thanks, Courtney. Holiday in the Sun, Megan Fox. See, I haven't seen a ton of Megan Fox's work.
No, I
But
haven't
we'll
either.
maybe put some side by sides on the Instagram and you can tell us if she looks more like Megan Fox in some of these pictures and some of these movies. Now,
I don't know.
uh, let's talk about the walking red flag that is Matthew.
Do we have to talk about Matthew?
We
Because
do. We
I
really
think
do.
he really wants us to talk about him, though.
We're not going to talk about him in the way that he wants. He really thought, I don't know, what could he possibly have thought America was going to love in the interactions that we didn't see? Because his immediate introduction is walking out of the pods on Jessica and Sarah Ann, not even
Yes.
asking questions. If you have anxiety, you need a minute to step out. Don't just
Sure.
leave. I
No, but
know it's a scary experience.
he left in a rude way. He left in, "She's talking too much, so I'm just going to leave."
Yeah.
So that was just, like, an immediate red flag. Now
And
and I will
it's not
say,
church.
I thought it could be an edit. It could be an editing thing. They could make it look like he walked out. I don't know, but either way,
No, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you
he didn't
can,
seem like
but
it.
it really seemed like Sarah, at least Sarah Ann's face was like, "Are you serious? This dude he's gone? That's it?"
Yes.
And
Oh, was it
he's
her that was like, "Is he gone?" And then she was like, "Thank God." Was it her that did
I
that?
don't
Was that
know.
that?
Does
I don't remember.
Ashley, do you know? Ashley's our backup on Facebook right now.
I can't
Um,
remember if it was her or not, but, somebody said that at some point.
so some of the other red flags he gave us before really getting into his connection with AD was he doesn't want to talk about emotions, yet he's ready for marriage. He's uncomfortable saying the word love. And Superman had a cold personality to start too. Sir, and I use that term very loosely, Superman saves lives. He is literally a hero. No, not the same comparison. Get out of here, Matthew.
Not
Not
you are
to
not
Matthew.
you're not giving us what you think you're giving us. I don't know what you're
Yes.
thinking you're giving us, but you're not giving it. I don't know what his whole thing is. I think he is very odd. He comes across
Ugh.
very odd. This whole America is on my side thing, I don't know what you're talking about. I have in my notes, I just have one of my notes says, "Matthew, America is absolutely not on your side." Um, and also that my husband agrees with me, and my husband doesn't agree with me on many things, so, um
He is the Andrew of this season. If he had Visine busting out when him and AD ended things, I would not have been surprised. And her
yeah.
line, I can relate so hard to. She said, "If I see a red flag, I'll paint my nails red to match." And it is so obvious seeing her connection with Clay, her connection with Matthew, and the way she interacts with them when they don't show their best colors or only show one shade of red. I AD, I wanna, like, shake you through the screen and be like, "Girl, don't do it.
What
Don't."
are you doing? What? But yeah, it's like it's like it seems like every girl and every guy was just, like, anti-Matthew, but AD was
The guys
the
didn't even
only
know who he
person.
was.
Well, he
Clay
didn't
was
say
like, "Who?"
anything. There was
Yeah,
that
he
one little
kept to himself.
scene there was that one little scene in the house where somebody was handing him something, and were like "Here's your something." I don't even remember what it was. They were like, "Here's your something," and he comes and gets in, doesn't say anything, and they're like, "You're welcome."
The
Like, he's
only
just silent.
The semi-redeeming, I mean, he was love bombing AD and obviously Amber so hard with like, "I came here for you. You're the reason I was meant to be here, blah, 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 blah." But he had this one moment where he said that he can get into a dance off and he could like show off. And I'm like, I cannot see this white boy having those kinds of moves. But that was like the only point where I was like, this might be his opportunity for redemption. And then immediate no, just so much no. And
He's kinda scary. Like, I hate to put that on somebody from just what I see on a TV show, but he, like, gives me a little bit scary vibes, a little bit creepy vibes. Like, I'm glad no one got engaged to him just for the fact that I would be afraid for them.
really, I've seen other people say that too. And again, everybody that we've talked to, we did a whole mini villain season where we interviewed a lot of villains from Love is Blind and House of Villains prior. And everybody has been so genuinely nice and kind, especially as we fumble through relearning podcasting. And so maybe he would be like that too. But he does put on a big show, and him love bombing makes me think that whatever personality we would get from him on the interview would be different than his normal day to day life. But who knows? Matthew, if you want to come on and prove us wrong, you are welcome to join us. We
I
cannot,
would love to see that.
yeah,
Change
we're
my
going to give you
mind.
a hard time. Just know that. We're not buying what you're selling.
But we
Okay.
understand the editing process, so
Yes, we're on to you, but we're also on to editing. We get it.
Alright, who
And
do we have
then
next?
AD's other connection, Clay.
Clay.
So,
I do have a note from episode 1 that
okay,
I thought they were gonna end up together. I kind of was like, "Yeah, I think that's the match." But
AD and Clay.
yes,
Okay.
but, he did not exactly impress me beyond that
No.
first initial date or whatever that we saw.
I will say he has a lot of redeeming, moments where, he apologizes after the fact, like, he gets heated and then he needs time to cool off and comes back and apologizes, owns up to needing therapy and wanting to work on things together, and really does seem to have the right intentions looking for a marriage, but I did not like how downhill things went when he found out that AD had another connection. I can understand being upset that
Mhm,
it's Matthew. I would be upset that it was
mhm.
Matthew too. You know,
Yeah.
that's just a hard pill to swallow knowing what we saw of him. But I just didn't like, and him being so focused on looks, I actually thought we were gonna see a fight. If they did, I don't know that we would ever see that actually. If Matthew and Clay had fought, it's not I don't think Love is Blind wants Jerry
Oh, I
Springer
don't know.
vibes.
I don't know. I don't know. I think Kinetic would put it in there.
Really?
Oh,
I
I
In
think they
6
would.
seasons, there must have been some kind of fighting.
You think? I don't know. We've never heard
I
about
ju
it.
It seems like they're going for that semi-wholesome vibe. I mean, there were some real hotheads in prior seasons, especially when the alcohol gets flowing. But maybe somebody else can give us that tea behind the scenes. We're going to talk to the cast eventually from this season, and in about half hour, we're going to talk to Josh from last season, who got engaged, but we didn't see it, and see how that worked out. So we got to get rolling on these couples.
Let's go.
Okay. Next up, okay. We did Chelsea and Jimmy. Let's talk about Johnny and Amy because these are like some quicker pod dates where I feel like if they had a really strong connection, but maybe it wasn't as entertaining or there was no love triangle, they just immediately hit it off and they didn't have any other side drama that we saw enough to know that they got engaged, but kind of like Lauren and Cameron, we saw a little bit of them at
Mhm.
the beginning and then they became more central as the episodes went on.
Yeah, like, you've got these really just short and sweet connections, that it's like these people just automatically found each other. It's very cute. Johnny and Amy are
Yeah.
very adorable together. I like them so far. I feel like we haven't seen a whole lot of either one of their
No.
personalities. So I don't,
I
100%
did
know where
like
it's
his
going.
reaction when she was talking about being a backup caregiver to her brother was
Yes,
how
that
I
was
would have
very
liked to see,
sweet.
yeah,
Yes.
Jimmy react to Jessica having a daughter. I think that's the emotional, mature way to handle it. And, it seemed like a real genuine reaction. So I really like them.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But I think there are definite solid couple of the season. That's going to be my guess. I'll
Yeah,
throw
they're
my invisible dollars there.
yeah, I mean, I feel like we have at this point, they're one of the 2 couples that I could see, walking out of this married.
Yes. And then speaking of, I'm gonna guess your other couple is Brittany and Kenneth.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
I love them from the jump. They have a lot in
Mhm,
common. They're, both in the education, not industry, they're both in education.
mhm.
They have very strong connection to God, family. I thought it was so sweet when Brittany said she was meant to be on earth for her mom when they were talking about adoption and her history with her mom's sister passing.
That
Oh
was
my
very
God.
sweet. And both of their
She's
moms were twins is kind of crazy.
And I thought it was also funny when she said, "Would you be open to twins?" I'm thinking like, "What are you gonna do? Return one? What
Well,
would you be open?" You don't really have
I
a choice
guess
at that point.
she just kind of meant, like, "I'm probably gonna have twins. Just FYI. Is that a deal breaker?"
And then this is also, which we'll see more of at the, pre-honeymoon, Kenneth's first time dating a white woman.
Mhm,
So, I wonder if that's gonna play a role, especially once AD had that conversation with him having children in the
mhm.
future, what that's gonna look like. Because 'Cause they're
Mhm,
not
it'll be
our first
really
interracial couple, but
no, we've seen it before, but it's always a topic, it always has to be addressed, and I'm curious to see, how their families react and stuff, so I'm sure we'll get to see that, but it doesn't seem that I don't
right
I
now, it's not an issue.
right, it doesn't seem like an issue right now.
Right. And then we've got Jeremy's two connections. He is in the pods with Sarah Ann and Laura. We did not see a ton of Laura's interaction with him. And what we did see is that she hates Christmas, is what I got out of this. And she's a clean freak.
Who hates Christmas?
Right? I can understand not being really into it. There were a few years where I was not feeling Christmas because of various life circumstances, but that's a red flag for me that though
Mhm,
she seemed to have a turnaround when he was talking about how they would celebrate,
mhm.
and
Yes,
maybe
and
she
which
just
was
needs
sweet.
that. Yeah, she needs that excitement and motivation, but she is a
Yeah,
strong personality, and you
she
can see that
really
a little
is.
bit,
Oh,
um,
yeah, when they have the little cast party, we definitely see,
and
more of her.
even sorry, I'm caught in my wires, my charger. Even, her going to Jessica and telling her that Jessica's not the one
That's
in the
true,
pods,
that's
that
true.
little gossipy. I get looking out for your friend and having her back, but that's something that really should have come from Jimmy. But maybe Jimmy never would have done it. So we'll see. I think she's gonna be a big factor coming into later episodes. That personality is gonna start to come out and shine.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think she's going to be an interesting person to watch this season. But as far as her relationship with Jeremy, I mean, I know there was a love triangle there with Sarah Ann. I liked Sarah Ann maybe a little bit better, but,
Yeah, I
he
think
didn't, whatever.
I
Um
did think they had the most important conversations that we saw in like 6
Mhm,
seasons. They talked about politics, they talked about handling, like, life choices, like moving in together
mhm.
and visiting, like, how family plays a role even with his father who had passed and visiting at the cemetery. That really felt like the first time in 6 seasons where they talked about that we see big life choices that play a huge role in relationships and that aren't just service level. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, I loved mini golf. I hate Christmas. I know they talk about it, but that's the first time that we've seen it.
Yeah. But I will say that like my very first note on Jeremy is that he seems childish. And I think that
Okay.
that sort of came to me. I saw that throughout, the first episodes that we've seen. He seems a little bit like a goofball. And I hope he knows when to be serious. I hope, maybe we'll see that, but that was my first read on Jeremy anyways.
And we'll see at the cast couples get together. His personality really starts to, I won't say shine, I'll say change a little under the influence, which whose doesn't, but
Mhm.
it's definitely some awkward interactions there. Some notable things that I wrote down happening in the living quarters
Mhm.
were so Amy, sorry, not Amy, Laura, I think called chest hair taco meat. Somebody called chest hair taco meat,
Was
and that
that
was
her?
so,
Yeah.
or it might have been, I wish I would have wrote down who said this, but it was such like a weird thing and grossed me out. It's turned me off of tacos for who knows how long. But I also liked how supportive the women were of each other. There may have been some tension when you're dating the same person. Obviously, we saw Jessica and Chelsea, but there was overwhelming support, especially when
Mhm.
Laura went to Jessica to tell her that she wasn't the one, and how all the
Mhm.
women came over to comfort her, how genuinely excited they seemed for each other when they found their fiancés. I really liked that, and how cool the guys seem with each other too. You saw Jamal, who wasn't really featured, kind of being like the Rory of this season, the therapist, giving guidance in other people's relationships, and I really liked that too. So it seemed like the cast genuinely had each other's backs.
Yes. Lots of good things. There weren't any, um I didn't really see any catty behavior from the women, which is always refreshing, especially
Yes.
I feel like I've been scarred by Micah and Arena in season 4, and I don't wanna see any other mean girl behavior. Like, we're past that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, we know it happens. and it brings the drama, but I would much rather personally see them all being supportive, and
Mhm.
especially yeah, let's not I actually blocked Arena and Micah's little living room behavior out of my brain.
Pretend that that
That
never
didn't live
happened, yeah.
there. Moving on to the engagements. So our
Mhm.
first official couple is on Ami. Yeah, that's gonna be their couple name, Amy and Johnny. Uh, you do not need to perform tonsillectomies on each other on camera, guys. And I don't know if they add sound effects of the spit swapping, like it's just, ugh, come on. I
They,
don't
like,
know.
turn up that mic.
Yeah, and I don't know, she's mentioned twice that she has a thing for ethnic men, but she thinks Johnny is cute, so I don't know if that'll play a
Mhm.
bigger role in later parts of the episode, but I just see them as being, like, a very low-key couple, and I would say as of this point, they are a yes to me at the altar.
Yeah, I think they seem pretty solid, it's always up in the air. Never know what's gonna happen when they get back home, but they seem really solid. There doesn't I mean, there needs to be some kind of conflict, I guess, for them to see how they're gonna handle it, so
Right.
we'll
Can't all be
see.
smooth sailing, especially when you
Yeah,
move in with somebody that you essentially just met, as I can
yes.
personally attest to. Next, we have Kenneth and Brittany. Nothing real
Mhm.
notable here. They love each other, they're excited. Another solid
They're
couple.
they're very cute. I will be severely disappointed if they don't get married, personally.
We'll yet to see. And
Yep.
then before we have our next engagement, the Jimmy and Jessica breakup. Now, I think she was really hard on him. This may be an unpopular opinion, but he was honest with her. He was telling her, that saying you're going to be an amazing wife to someone else. I don't know how much more clear you could be. And I get being upset in the moment. We saw that with Izzy, where he took it well at the altar. And then when the cameras came up after, he got really emotional. So I can get the emotion and saying things that you don't mean. But going back
Mhm.
and telling him, as funny as it was, that he's going to need an EpiPen once he finds out what she looks like, the whole point
Mhm.
of the experiment is to fall for somebody emotionally. And I think it's very
Yes.
telling that
That's
you're
the whole
going
point.
to, yeah. So if that's what you were relying on, that's just a bonus. It shouldn't be a regret. Um, and maybe that's not his type. You don't know whether she had work done or that's just how she naturally looks. Like, you don't know what's going to be your type. He might be like a
Mhm.
JP and think that women who wear makeup are not attractive. Like, you just don't know.
But do you think that Jimmy chose Chelsea because she told him that she looks like Megan Fox? Do you think that's why
I
he picked her?
No, I mean, maybe slightly, not as much as everybody's made it out to be in like the group
Mhm.
and social media. But I think her really letting him lead and her just letting him openly talk about his other relationship was like a big thing. Because if he's looking for somebody to kind of be more passive, that is not Jessica.
Right. That is true. And I know we're going out of order, but I just to talk about Jimmy and
You don't
Chelsea's.
even want to say his name.
No, I'm getting tongue-tied, which, speaking of which, when he was, like, professing his love and he said Jessica instead of Chelsea,
Oh, yes. Oh, my God.
that was hilarious. I laughed so hard. Um,
I cannot believe that was dirty on production's part, but
mhm,
maybe I think there's
mhm,
still gonna be a lot of conflict with them. We see in the previews for
yes,
next episodes,
yes,
Chelsea, who he did end up proposing to, is, um is accusing him of sleeping with somebody else.
mhm.
So I don't see Jessica doing that, who knows, but, something's going on there.
I
And
would hope
another
that
notable thing to
Jessica
me
I would hope Jessica is like, "No."
oh, yeah, I would hope so too. I
So, we'll see.
wonder, so do you remember Trevor asked Chelsea if he had proposed first,
Mhm.
what she would have said? And she didn't answer that we saw.
Right.
So, if she had walked into Trevor's room first and he proposed, if she would have said yes, that seems like a huge red flag to me that you don't answer that question. That to me is the answer to the question.
Seems like she didn't know what she wanted. She wasn't sure about either one of them. But and I don't know if it was just like the producing part of it, but it looked like she had a choice basically to who she was gonna go to first though. So and she did obviously choose to go to Jimmy first.
I don't
Um,
know if she did. I don't
yeah,
I know it kinda
it may
seems
not have
that
been.
way,
It does seem that way.
and I don't know if anybody's online now and you wanna weigh in what you think. If she had seen Trevor first, would or not seen, if she had gone into Trevor's pod first, would she have said yes? Or will the tables turn and will she change her mind later? I am rooting for Chelsea and Trevor. Sorry, Jimmy, not sorry. You're just not it for me for Chelsea. But we'll see.
No. No, okay. But we skipped over Clay and AD, and I didn't mean to, but we did skip
Weren't th
over
Oh, yeah,
their
because we
engagement.
went
They were
back
the
for a minute.
3rd
That's okay.
ones to get engaged.
Yes.
Um, and I don't know, I think that I don't have high hopes for them, but they could surprise me. We'll put
Yeah,
it that way.
I go back and forth on him because he'll say something really kind of out of pocket, like talking about he's gonna tell her to get in the gym after she has a baby, but then he'll come back or even when he was so hung up on looks and then ended up accepting that she wasn't gonna share what she looked like with him, good on her because that plays such a huge role later, but he has these moments and then he redeems himself, and then he has these moments and then he
Mhm.
redeems himself. So hopefully,
Mhm.
he just sometimes you blurt things out without really thinking about it, and then you've gotta
Mhm.
you've gotta face the consequences of your actions. So I'm hopeful for them, and I her she's they're all beautiful. Her dress was so pretty, but I didn't understand the, like, really long strings coming off
Oh,
the back.
yeah.
I felt like that was tied wrong. It was supposed to
She
be,
kept
like,
having to, like,
corseted.
adjust them and stuff. Yeah, it was an odd dress, but
Yeah, but she looked
I don't
everybody
know.
looked amazing. They didn't dress up, though. Some of them didn't dress up for the proposals. I don't know if that was
Uh-huh.
intentional.
I noticed that.
That's the first time I've seen that. Some of them were in
Yeah.
jeans or, like, T-shirts or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah. I don't
So,
know.
I'm wondering if that was, like, spur of the moment, "I'm gonna propose and not prepare for this."
Mhm. Okay, and then we've already talked
So
about Jimmy
then
and Chelsea and
yeah,
their engagement, and so the last one is Jeremy and Laura.
uh, yeah, I that one surprised me. Again, we didn't see much of them in the pods, but I liked their connection immediately, how they seemed so comfortable with each other and that they were instantly attracted to one another. And I don't know personality wise how that one's going to play out, but again, hopeful for them.
They
I
both
did not
seem
think he
to
was going to be
have
one to get engaged.
no, and I thought he was gonna be shorter than her. Not that that matters, but it is something that I usually notice, and I really thought he was going to be shorter than he
Like
is.
short, short?
Like, I thought he was gonna be shorter than her, but he wasn't,
Oh,
so I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know why.
He was not one I thought we were gonna see a lot of. I thought she might get engaged to Ben, who we saw a little bit of at the beginning. It was, featured a
Mhm.
bit in the promotions. Wow, my laptop's really taking a dive here. Um, it's sliding off of the track. But yeah, theirs was okay, and we did touch a little bit on Jimmy and Chelsea's engagement, but I think the biggest take was so many people thought he did not react well to her looks. I think he was surprised, but he has mentioned, like, he finds her attractive. I think maybe not
Mhm.
as much as he was hoping, thinking she looks like Megan Fox, but
Right.
I do think she's an attractive girl. She's a pretty girl. It just wasn't what he was expecting. He was expecting
I do think
Megan
that
Fox.
he is disappointed in her looks. I really do. Just And I think a lot of it to me is that he just keeps saying it. Like, he
To
keeps
convince
saying
himself?
things like, "You're so gorgeous, she's so gorgeous, I'm so happy." Like, I don't it almost feels like he's projecting a little bit, like he's just
Okay.
going to keep repeating it, you know? So, I'm not sure, I could be wrong, but that's the way it comes across to me is that I I felt like during the reveal that he was disappointed in her looks, and it was
Okay.
also really awkward that during their reveal, he started talking about Jessica,
Oh,
that
yeah, like, you gotta table that, dude, that's over now, and telling Chelsea he almost went home?
Yeah, why would you say that?
What dude, I know people have slips of the tongue all the time, but that's something you keep
Mhm,
in your head. You do not tell your fiancé you almost went home. That was such an awkward meeting. I did not like
mhm,
anything about it.
right, and so it
We'll
just
see.
makes sense that to me, it makes sense that Chelsea feels really insecure in their relationship because from the
Right.
get-go, he's almost been second guessing it from the very beginning, from the
Um,
moment they met,
kind
basically.
of like I always like to throw it back to previous couples when Bartise was talking to Nancy frequently about Raven and how attractive Raven is.
Yes. Same
Kind of
vibes.
like that. Yeah.
Mhm. And that's
All
just
right.
inappropriate, but anyways.
Now we
Okay.
get into what we thought was going to be Mexico, but is the Dominican Republic. And we are going to fly through this as quickly as possible so we don't leave Josh hanging, Josh Simmons from season 5. And he'll be
Yeah,
live
okay.
too. We'll send out a new link.
Yeah.
Okay. The honeymoon. Clay and AD. Why was he asking about wedding rings like he's never heard of a ring before? He
Uh,
doesn't know that you get a wedding ring?
he's like, he didn't know that men wore wedding rings? I thought that was odd.
What does
Um,
he think they're walking around with, like, so many men on their hands,
I
just,
don't
like,
know.
promise
Just
rings or, just a fashion statement?
yeah, I don't know, that's interesting. I'm not sure how you get to this any point in life and not know that, but, um, whatever.
And then, they have this big conversation about fitness and what would happen when she had a baby. I hated this whole conversation. I cannot relate to you, AD, saying you don't do pointless calories. That is just how I live my life.
No, yeah, it's
Everything is a
can't
pointless
relate.
calorie. And then, him saying he won't let her get out of shape. Here's the thing. I can kind of get that. He is saying he wants to motivate her and that he knows that her body is important to her, I think was his intention. The delivery, not great. Did not look good at
No,
all, Clay.
no.
But then again, they shift the conversation talking about therapy and wanting to go together as a couple individually.
Mhm.
And when she
Which
gets
is good.
upset, yeah, she got upset about, their wedding and her father not being there to walk her down the aisle, and him saying that her brother should walk her down the aisle because 'cause they're walking her into love, just melted my heart, and that really made me, like, feel like Clay really is a good person who just puts his foot
Mhm,
in his mouth a lot,
mhm.
which
It
happens.
is it's very roller coastery with him. It's like how I feel about him. It's just up and down the whole time so far. So,
Yes. Yeah.
um,
Jury's still out on you, Clay.
but I feel like, we have these, like, initial scenes in the honeymoon. I feel like Jeremy and Laura, nothing really stuck out. Johnny and Amy, nothing really stuck out. Ken and Brittany, nothing really stuck out. Like, they were just kind of, you know
No, they were actually AD and Clay were my only notes from before they get to
Mhm,
the couples party when they're
mhm.
in their honeymoon. They didn't show
No,
a
I
ton, like, they
I
didn't show their
do have
activities.
notes about Jimmy and Chelsea because Chelsea asked Jimmy, "What's the first thing you noticed about me?" And he said,
Oh,
"You
yes.
have big, square, white teeth."
Teeth.
What?
Are you calling her teeth chiclets? Are you again, one of those foot in your mouth kind of things that you should not say out loud. You pick something and compliment it, even if it wasn't truly the first thing you notice. Yes, Chelsea
Literally
does have a memorable smile. I get it,
anything
but
else.
anything else.
Your
He did
beautiful
say her
eyes.
boobs. He said her rack too.
Ugh.
Like that was slid in before the teeth, which
So,
okay, fair
anyways,
enough.
Jimmy, please. Please redeem
And
yourself.
then
I
the yeah. tone it down. But he doesn't, because then they meet up, all the couples meet up in the Dominican Republic. And I don't know what happened when the booze started flowing real hard, but AD's body was like the star of this show. And
Oh, ew, this really so disgusting. Like, for what reason are we commenting so heavily on a woman's body, like,
and
in a
it
group
really
setting?
right. And I get they're trying to compliment her. It's the first time they're seeing each other. But Chelsea being insecure and really harping on it and announcing it to AD. If you want to say to each other, that's fine. But it's not like Jimmy wasn't going to say it to AD. Chelsea called it
Mm-mm.
out. And I know
That
she was
was
insecure. She saw him noticing. Okay. But that is such an uncomfortable situation. And AD handled it with such grace. And she knows she
yes.
looks good. And her
Yes.
comment about, squats and Jesus, like
It was she
excellent,
played it
excellent.
off really well, played it off in a fun, playful way. But, like, and Chelsea later coming and saying, "Oh, I was trying to make an awkward situation less awkward by, like,
Yeah,
shouting
no,
it
you
and
were not.
announcing it to the group." No.
Right.
That did not make it less awkward. Um,
And her being upset after about the lack of attention she felt she got from Jimmy. I didn't see that at
mhm,
all. Yeah, he was talking to other people. You're at a party, like you're
mhm,
mingling. You know you're going to be together this whole honeymoon. And he did check in with her. This is like
mhm.
big insecurity showing to me. And I get it. You're seeing the other people that you all dated, but that booze flowing, I don't think helped any of their situations. Jeremy
Definitely not.
and Laura, the women were more inappropriate than anything. Laura telling Jeremy to smack AD's boobs, and I don't know. I missed the bean dip reference. I don't know what that means. I don't know that I
That's what
want to
she
know what
was
that means.
that's what she was calling it. I I've never heard that before, but if this is the same woman who referred to the chest hair as taco meat, I think she may just be, um, why is
She
everything
may have
related
a lot of
to
food.
food?
Maybe she likes food
Taco
in the
meat
bedroom.
taco meat and beans? I don't what are we doing here? What are we referencing?
Yeah.
Anyways, it's gross, but it's like, she should have said it to begin with, but again, why are we announcing these things to the group? Like, why are
Alcohol.
we like, why are
I'm
we
kidding. This
telling
is lemonade,
everyone?
but
It's okay,
alcohol
it
is
can be a
absolutely. Though Laura, I
yeah,
feel like would say that anyway. I feel like Laura is just, another like
she she
very
doesn't seem
bold.
to care. Yeah,
Yeah, speaks her
which is
mind even
fun,
if it's not
makes
appropriate.
for good TV, but, like, can we stop talking about AD's body? Like,
Yeah,
it just
we know
makes
she's
me really
gorgeous. You're all gorgeous.
uncomfortable.
Everybody on this cast is beautiful. Let's not make them uncomfortable.
Yes.
And then another uncomfortable but necessary, I think, conversation when AD and Clay were talking about, we got into this a tiny bit, Brittany raising Black children. I'm curious
Mhm,
if that brings a bit of conversation, and we see in the previews a little bit of awkwardness between them and some kind
mhm.
of tiff. So I'm wondering if that carries on later into what they're not getting along about.
I could see it. I think I mean, there could be any
It could be
variety of
anything.
issues that they might have. But yeah, it definitely seems like that might be something they're gonna have to overcome. Which I do think that they can overcome it. But
Yeah. And I
uh
don't know, we know that Kenneth hasn't dated a white woman. I don't know if
mhm.
Brittany mentioned anything about having dated a Black man before. I don't. So,
Yeah, I don't remember.
so
I don't
we don't,
remember
the
if she did.
jury's out on that.
Yeah.
But I think they are a very cute couple. And I do think it's important to have conversations like that. There's no need to beat around the bush. It's very obvious
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
you are white and you're dating a Black man, and there are things that go along with raising Black children that have, we're both white. We don't know what that conversation is like and what that's like
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis. So it's okay to have those conversations and be uncomfortable. And I don't, some people in the group were saying it's inappropriate. I didn't think it was inappropriate at all.
I
I
didn't
thought
know.
it
I
was.
saw a couple of posts about well, I think that was mostly saying that it was like AD kind of it wasn't her business, but I think, she was
It's
like,
yeah.
uh, I think she was
But if
looking
somebody
out
has to have the
for. Yeah.
conversation, it's not gonna be
Yes.
like a Laura coming up, or it shouldn't be a
Right.
Laura coming up or
Right.
a Jimmy coming up, you know? Um, so I think it is a necessary conversation to have. I thought maybe like the timing and environment weren't right. You're at a party,
Maybe,
the
yeah.
booze
But
is flowing,
it
but
kind of seems like something that production might have set up to happen at
that's
that point
true
in
too.
time, but, I mean, I don't think she was out of pocket by, like, having the conversation in general, like, she's looking out for him,
Yeah,
so.
I got that vibe as well. And then, they all go back to the hotels, and the most memorable thing I thought was, again, the Chelsea and Jimmy fight, and she's saying, "I don't need you by my side," while complaining about how he wasn't by her side the whole party. They were all hanging out in different circles. The girls were all together. Jimmy came and sat with all the girls, you know?
Mhm.
I don't know what she was expecting. I think that was a lot of booze and insecurity showing, but that was the really only memorable take until we got to the previews for me post-party.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much, but yeah, I had like, my very last note is that I feel like this season is giving all the drama, and I really think that it is,
Mhm.
and I'm really excited about these upcoming episodes. I'm excited to see what
I
happens.
am ready. I can't wait to see all these, matches that didn't get engaged coming back. We see Jeremy meeting Sarah Ann. I think there's gonna be a Jessica and Jimmy
Trevor.
interaction. Lots of yeah, Trevor and Chelsea, lots of trouble
Yes.
coming in paradise, and I am excited for this
Mhm.
season too. I think they're
Yes.
redeeming themselves for the last few
I'm
few
excited. I'm
seasons.
excited. Yes.
All right, guys, stay tuned. We're going to send out a new link. Thank you for joining us. Josh Simmons from season 5, who was in one of the engaged couples you didn't see, is going to be on with us next. So thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to The Love Pod. Be sure to tune in next week as we recap episodes 7 through 9, which come out on February 21st on Netflix. Follow The Love Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Love Pod Podcast. Links are in the show notes. See you guys next time.